Using your RRSP properly can set you up with millions in retirement. It can provide the down payment for your home, and it can reduce your taxable income. In this video, I'm going to break down all three of those benefits, how your contribution room works, and how to take maximum advantage of your RRSP. The RRSP, or the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, exists to help you save for retirement, and it's been around in Canada since 1957. Within your RRSP, you can hold qualified investments such as GICs, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and ETFs. To open an RRSP, you need to be a Canadian resident with a valid social insurance number. Aside from that, if you file an income tax return and earn an income, you're eligible to open and contribute to your RRSP. There are a few different places you can open up an RRSP, similar to the TFSA. The most common place, which you probably know, is the bank. RRSPs can also be opened up with trust companies, credit unions, mutual fund companies, investment firms, and life insurance companies. So here's something that someone new to investing and tax sheltered accounts that we have here in Canada might not know. So you can actually have multiple RRSP accounts open, similar to TFSA. If you bank with TD, you could have your RRSP with TD Bank, and you could have mutual funds inside that RRSP. Now, you could also open an RRSP with Wealthsimple, and you could buy stocks there. You could also open your RRSP, another RRSP account with Tangerine, and hold GICs there. In this scenario, you have 3 different RRSP accounts. However, as long as your contribution is within your overall contribution room, you're okay. So you can open and contribute to an RRSP all the way up to age 71. And at age 71, you actually have to close your RRSP. A lot of the time, in a majority of cases, what you want to do is open up an RRIF, a Registered Retirement Income Fund. And the purpose of this is so that you can not get taxed on a lump sum of money all in one year. So for example, say you had $300,000 in your RRSP. If you didn't open an RRIF, you will go to withdraw your money all in a one lump sum. You're taxed on $300,000 of income. An RRIF essentially is like paying yourself a salary for each year in retirement. You can pay yourself a certain amount. There is a minimum that you have to pay yourself every year, or essentially withdraw from your RRSP. That way you're only taxed on, let's just say, $40,000 or $50,000 or $60,000 instead of $300,000 all at once. So one of the prime benefits, and the reason why majority of people use their RRSP and contribute to their RRSP, is for the income tax deduction. I'll talk a little bit more on why people contribute to their RRSP a little bit later. So how much can you deduct each and every year? How much you can deduct is the lower of 2 amounts. The first amount is 18% of your earned income in the previous year, and the second is the annual RRSP deduction limit. So for example, in 2023, the annual RRSP deduction limit was $30,780. Now, if 18% of your earned income was higher than that, then you would use the $30,000 as your limit for that year. The number that you get, you would add to your unused contribution room from the previous year, because it is cumulative, just like the TFSA. There are other factors in this calculation. I'll put the full formula up on the screen right now for you guys to see. So here is my personal opinion on retirement and the RRSP. First of all, I think that everybody should contribute to retirement. I know that the majority of people, and the way we're wired as humans, we actually have present bias. Present bias is placing more priority on immediate rewards than future benefits. Right now, you could take your money and you can spend it on vacation, you can spend it on getting a car, or you spend it on buying, designer clothes, or whatever wants that you have, right? Aside from your basic needs, right? Your future benefit could be contributing to your retirement, so in the future when you're 60, 65, maybe you're 55 when you retire, maybe you're 71 when you retire, so in the future you have money to live on. It's hard for us to really think that far ahead into the future, to think about, oh, I'm gonna need X amount to live on, and especially when money is so tight as is right now. So what I've personally noticed is that people contribute more so to their RRSP, not for their retirement, but for the income tax deduction. I feel like that's why the government designed the income tax deduction that way, so that you're incentivized to contribute to your retirement. So think about it. So if you weren't able to get a refund or reduce your tax liability, would you contribute to your RRSP? in your 20s? I don't know. But the fact that you do get that immediate reward today, and it helps you and it gives you more money in your pocket today, or reduces the money that you have to pay on your tax bill, that enables you to actually contribute to your RRSP and your retirement, which you will not touch for the next probably 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. I think it takes finding out your why and why you're contributing to retirement, and a whole lot of discipline in order to forego your immediate rewards today and contribute towards your future benefit, which is your RRSP and your retirement. Your RRSP doesn't exactly only have to be for when you're in your 60s, right? You can actually use it to buy your first home. But I think that the government did not want to be stuck with many people who were unable to work and unable to afford to live in their retirement years. So that is why we have the income tax deduction, which incentivizes us to contribute to a retirement. I don't know. What do you guys think? So how does the income tax deduction work? So let's say you make a gross salary of $50,000 a year. Your employer deducts taxes at source, and the money deposited into your bank account is your after-tax income. Now, if you manage to save $5,000 of your after-tax income and contribute it towards your RRSP, you will effectively reduce your taxable income from $50,000 down to $45,000. Now the CRA says, oh, it seems that we've made a mistake. We've actually deducted your taxes as if you made $50,000, but turns out you actually make $45,000 after your contribution. It looks like we actually owe you a refund of $1,035. Now, people will happily take that refund or reduce tax liability over nothing, where if there was no tax deduction, why would anybody contribute to their retirement? But when there is an immediate reward for contributing to your RRSP, everybody does it. Now, how can you end up with over $1 million in retirement? $1 million is not what it used to be. $1 million can seem like a lot of money to some people, but when you have to live on it for 30 years, 40 years from now, when we don't know what the cost of living is going to be, even especially if it's already high and you're living in a high cost of living place like Toronto, I personally think that in retirement, if you're 60 and say you live till 90, I think, and you stop working, I personally think you need at least $2.5 to $5 million to live comfortably, to live the life that you want to live. For this example's sake, I'm going to use $1 million or just over $1 million and see how you can get there. So what I usually do, and what you can do yourself, is there's investment calculators on the internet that calculates compound interest. So let's just go over a quick example, right? Let's say that you're 25 years old today and you want $1 million in retirement at age 65. Well, first of all, we're going to make some basic assumptions. We're going to assume that you're going to invest in a low-cost S&P 500 index ETF. So an example could be Vanguard's VFV index ETF. The reason you do that is because the S&P 500 has produced an average return of 8 to 10% a year historically. So although it's produced 8 to 10% on average, I'm going to be super conservative for this example and use 7% for our rate of return. Let's say that you spent all this time paying off debt and you have nothing saved, so our starting amount is $0. We're going to contribute $500 a month to buy your shares of VFV in your RRSP. That's a contribution of $6,000 a year. So with this example, with a starting amount of $0, $500 contributed a month, which is a total of $6,000 a year, and at a 7% annual rate of return, you'll have a balance of $1,235,771 at age 65. Now, will that be enough to allow you to live comfortably 30 or 40 years from now? I don't know, probably not, but it's something. Better than nothing, right? You also have, in the US they call it Social Security. Here we have old age security. You have that, you have CPP, and if you're fortunate enough to have pension from your work, you have that as well. If you don't have any of that, then at least you have $1 million. And if you live for 20 years after you retire, $1 million should be able to cover you if you're willing to live on $50,000 a year. But if not, you got to be a lot more careful. Now, if you did the exact same thing, but inside of your TFSA instead of your RRSP, you'll be able to withdraw that $1 million tax-free. So make sure you max out your TFSA as well. So let's talk about the home buyer's plan. So the home buyer's plan is a plan that's within your RRSP that allows you to withdraw money early without penalty. So if you're not withdrawing money to buy a home, there's actually a penalty when you withdraw prior to retirement from your RRSP. But when you withdraw money as part of your home buyer's plan, you can withdraw up to $35,000 without penalty and without paying tax. But the catch is you have to pay yourself back that $35,000 into your RRSP within 15 years. Honestly, if it helps with your down payment today, why would you not do it? I mean, unless you, for whatever reason, haven't contributed to your FHSA, which is the next video, you're going to want to watch that so that you can take full advantage of it. So imagine you had $50,000 in your TFSA and you're able to pull out $35,000 from your RRSP. That's $85,000, and that could actually help you with your down payment. So that's a whole lot of information about the RRSP. I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to drop a like if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one.